What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Saturday night, late night live stream. Dose Media Network. Ben Hauver here with Joey Carey and DFS. How we doing,
sir.
buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Interesting slate. Honestly, there's so many options, especially at running back. I think it's really interesting for cash. This is the least sure about my cash lineup that I've been coming into this stream. So let's get to it, man. Let's find the answers. That's what I'm trying to do today.
Ricky, let go. Shout out Al, weekly.
Let's go, Al.
Weekly viewer. Bob, what up, Bob? Bob's my boy. All right. So you said you're pretty unsure of what your cash lineup is right now.
Yeah.
So is there a question at the quarterback position? Are you debating between two players? And the commish mentioned my cash team is set. Let's see if you could talk me off it. I'm honest, it starts with Aaron Rodgers. So I think you're going to have to talk the commish out of playing Aaron Rodgers in cash.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally not considering Rodgers for cash at this moment, but to answer your original question, yes, I do think there's a big question at QB in terms of cash this week. On one hand, I'm considering a guy who drops 30 every week. He's 8,500. He's got a 28.5 implied team total. And then I'm considering a guy on a team who's trading off its assets with a 20.5 point total on one of the worst teams in the league. Which way do you think I should go?
Hey, I mean, DraftKings is a week-to-week game. You know that more than anybody, right? You're wearing the process over results shirt there. What's up, Mr. Torian, weekly viewer? Shout out to him. You're wearing the process over results t-shirt. So if we're talking about the process behind quarterback this week, which way are you leaning? Josh Allen or Justin Fields? If you had to choose one, salary included, we know that paying up for quarterback is optimal in DraftKings 2022. We know that in cash. But Justin Fields at 5,300 in a good spot at home against Miami. He's been the quarterback 2 overall, I believe, over the last 3 weeks in fantasy football. I don't know. It's definitely a debate this week for sure.
I think my lean is Fields. Like right now, if like Locke was in 5 minutes, I would be running Fields in cash.
Okay.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he has no games this season with under 7 rush attempts. He's gone for over, 60 or more rushing yards, I should say, in the last 3 games, 80 plus in 2 of them. It's a good spot. They're facing a team that should put a ton of pressure on them, offensively in the Miami Dolphins. So I don't know, man. The question is, and you have the game log up on the screen here. The question is are we going to get this 26, 24 point range from Justin Fields? Or are we going to get the games that we were seeing earlier in the year, the 17s, the 19s, the 11s? It's like Allen's 25 plus. You can lock that in. If Fields gets you, within 5 points, I think you're good. But if Josh Allen goes 35 and Fields gets you 15, you might be chalked. And it's just a matter of, do we have faith in Justin Fields getting here in this specific spot, 4.5 point home dogs against Miami, because of the rushing floor and because of the price and because of how goddamn great Austin Eckler is this week. And that's really what it comes down to. If you play Allen, it's extremely hard to get Austin Eckler into a lineup. If you play Fields, you can get Eckler in. And that's the real difference maker. The commish asks, isn't everyone talking Fields? Yeah, that's why, man. I think it's Justin Fields this week because he allows you to play Austin Eckler. And that's the real crux of the decision in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that a $3,200 difference between Justin Fields and Josh Allen, you're going to need, a ceiling game out of Josh Allen for him to really separate from the field in a meaningful way, especially in cash, and especially if Justin Fields is going to be the highest owned quarterback. Obviously, this Bears offense hasn't been good, but they did go out. They traded for Chase Claypool. Some people don't believe he's that talented of a player. I think he's an upgrade on whatever else they had. Equanimity, St. Brown, N'Keal Harry, Velus Jones, etc. So I think another weapon for Justin Fields, one of the better, potential game environments, in my opinion, even though they have a 20.5 team total, the Bears do. And the rushing floor is obviously extremely high, but you kind of do need Justin Fields to score a rushing touchdown, no?
I think so. Or just go nuke in terms of efficiency on the ground and get you like 100-yard rushing bonus. But
Which
yeah,
is
I mean,
definitely in the range for sure.
for sure it is. And maybe he can throw 2 passing touchdowns in this game. Claypool's there. He's going to probably get 30-40% of the snaps in this game. I don't know, man. I'm personally leaning Fields. Bop says, Fields is the play. Does that mean Mooney is the play? I've never heard somebody talk about Darnell Mooney more than Bop, and that's including myself this offseason, who talked about him on every stream. But
Bop might be Darnell Mooney. Have you ever considered that?
You think so?
What if Darnell Mooney's tuned into DFS streams the night before a game?
I mean, maybe Mooney's a degenerate gambler like Calvin Ridley. Who knows? Who the hell knows?
Calvin Ridley gets traded to the team that he bet on the Falcons to beat.
Could be.
Definition of irony,
isn't it? So obviously, I mean, we don't need to make the case for Josh Allen as to why he's a good play. It's just he's a scary fade, especially considering his best fantasy performance, of the year came in a non-competitive game where they blew the Steelers out 38-3. And this game sets up, similarly with the Bills being 11-point favorites. But that being said, they are on the road against a division team. The total is actually moved. First, it opened at 7, then it moved to like 12.5, 13. Now it's back down to 11. So a little bit shifting back towards the Jets direction here. I don't know, man. Do you think that this is a spot where Allen accesses his ceiling? That's the real question.
I mean, most likely. He said, I've been had, you got me. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely likely. I mean, it's likelier than not that, he busts, right? Going up against the Jets. I mean, the Jets do have a tough defense this year for sure, but Josh Allen, I mean, I say it every single week, but the touchdowns flow through Josh Allen, whether that be through the air or on the ground. Devin Singletary is hardly ever taking away touchdowns from Josh Allen. So when you're getting that high of a touchdown expectation and he's just the best value each and every single week at the quarterback position, it's definitely hard to not play him. I think personally I am leaning Fields in cash right now, but I wouldn't be mad at anybody, showing up in a head-to-head with Josh Allen. But in cash games specifically, so head-to-heads, double-ups, 50-50s, where roughly 50% of the field gets paid out, you're either playing Josh Allen or Justin Fields or you're making a mistake. So,
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Do you want to hit on, I guess we can do you want to talk tournaments as well or just go running back here?
Yeah, I mean, tournament quarterback options, I mean, we have a ton. You can obviously get off Justin Field chalk just because I think he is very fragile and there are some other options down here that I like. On the preview pod, I mentioned Trevor Lawrence as a tournament option, 5,200, in what I think could be one of the sneakier shootouts of this week 9 slate. Definitely don't mind T-Law. I mean, I just think that he has a ceiling game in his range. And it's a good spot going up against Las Vegas, one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Other than that, I mean, I'm not too interested in, this kind of middle tier of quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Not going to go there. I mean, the tournament options, in my opinion, are Joe Burrow, Tua, and Geno Smith for me.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Tua there. I think Tua is phenomenal. I mean, we've seen it time and time again this season, just how high of a ceiling that double stack has. Tyreek should be extremely chalky this week. I don't think Waddle gets there, though, just because of his price. I think that Waddle gets completely looked over, and same for Tua. So very, very sneaky double stack there. And you could bring it back with Mooney or, take a wild shot on somebody like Khalil Herbert, who's getting a better and better role as the weeks go on and outperforming over David Montgomery week in and week out. So, I mean, I think that the Dolphins double is super strong here. I'm kind of interested in Aaron Rodgers just because everybody who goes against the Lions absolutely decimates them. It's tough. Rodgers has 0 games with over 20 fantasy points this year, this year so far. But I mean, if ever there was a spot to do it, it would be right here, right now. Alan Lazard is going to play. Dubs was coming on, making some impressive catches against the Bills in that spot. I don't know, man. I could see the Packers finally getting right on offense, even if it's only temporary, just because of just how god awful Detroit is. Wouldn't go there in cash, but I think that he's pretty strong in tournaments.
Yeah, I don't mind Aaron Rodgers at all. He's actually projecting to be a top 3 owned quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think a ton of people are on it. And as it stands right now, Justin Fields isn't projecting to be super high owned, just because projections like Geno Smith a little bit better at 5,800 in the best game environment on the slate in Seattle and Arizona. But Aaron Rodgers, definitely don't mind it. I could definitely see a 3 touchdown, 300-yard game well within the range here. For Rodgers, Ricky and Mr. Torian talking about Taylor Heineke. Do you have any interest in Taylor Heineke at home against the Vikings or Kirk Cousins in a revenge game, going back to Washington? It is a 1:00 game too.
Yeah. The problem with those two quarterbacks is that I just think I would rather play the skill players. I don't know. I don't know. I like McLaurin. I like Jay Jeff. I love Antonio Gibson this week, as we'll talk about that when we get to running back. But I don't know if I would go with the quarterbacks. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, you could play a very similar build to your like Justin Fields cash build, just sub in Heineke and McLaurin off of, Fields and a chalky wide receiver, and maybe make another pivot or two and be right there with a really, really strong lineup. So after thinking about it, I guess it's not bad, just not something I'd really considered up to this point. But shout out to the chat. Might have to run a Heineke lineup tomorrow.
Al says Joe Burrow for all the money. Are you playing, one of the best ceiling quarterbacks over the last 2 years? At 6,600.
And listen, Al, I know I can tell just from the Avi there that you are a Bengals fan, but I don't think that those ceiling games are in Joe Burrow's range without Jamar Chase busting off several 50-yard touchdowns in a game. I just don't think so.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and obviously we could be wrong, and they still have a ton of talent on offense with Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, etc. But Jamar Chase and the efficiency that he brings just at the wide receiver position, and the big playability, and the yards after catch ability just helps Joe Burrow immensely, especially when you're considering his ceiling on a week-to-week basis. So no Jamar Chase. I think we're both kind of in tandem that we think the Bengals offense is not really stackable when he's not in the lineup.
Now, with that being said, do you think that the same argument applies to Justin Herbert? We talked about him a little bit on the preview podcast earlier in the week, but no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. Things are a little bit grim for him, but you can stack his cheaper pass catchers. Gerald Everett, I love at tight end this week, priced up to 4,800. I just think that price range keeps people off of him. So, I mean, it's not crazy to think about stacking Justin Herbert, Everett, Eckler. Like, that's going to be so much of the offense, or, Palmer and Everett, if you want to get off Eckler chalk. I think there's a couple ways you could go. And normally I don't think I would do that. I think that, the Mike Williams and Keenan injuries would be enough to keep me off Herbert. But in this specific situation against such a bad defense coming off of a bye, I think that Herbert's at least interesting just in terms of, taking a shot on a low owned stack.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough because he is 7,200. Josh Allen is only 1,300 more. I'd rather just get up to Josh Allen if I'm playing a quarterback at the top. Yeah. Kyler Murray, I think, is a little bit better than Justin Herbert as well from a projection standpoint, and he's only 200 more. So I don't think I'm going to be playing much Justin Herbert. I do think that taking away skill players and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams definitely hurts his ceiling a ton. And then you're not really getting any ownership leverage with Austin Eckler, with Josh Palmer, who the commish put in the chat. Josh Palmer is going to be one of the chalkiest wide receivers on this slate. And I don't really think that, Gerald Everett is all that sneaky, but he shouldn't, be too owned. So you're not getting crazy ownership leverage, and I don't think you're getting the same ceiling out of this Chargers offense. And I think, honestly, that the offense is also just kind of broken right now under Brandon Staley and Joe Lombardi. So,
Yeah, we saw something really similar with Lombardi in Detroit, where his first year with Stafford, he was really really strong, and then the offense just got really stale and predictable, and he kind of fell off before his exit, which landed him in LA. So maybe Lombardi's kind of a one trick pony. He's got a great year in him, and then it kind of falls off. Maybe something to keep an eye on there. And I think I agree with your take. I guess when you think about it in terms of how close in price he is to like Allen, and then you can save a little bit by going to Tua, I think that's probably just better.
Yeah, so I think for me, Josh Allen, definitely the best play on the slate. Justin Fields is right up there, and then Geno Smith and Rodgers as well. And then the tournament options would be Kyler, Tua, Taylor Heineke, if that's your vibe. But I do think that this is a week where you could expand your quarterback pool a little bit, just because there's not that many top options. We don't have Lamar, Patrick Mahomes on this slate, and some other guys. So I don't know. I think I would consider some of these cheaper quarterbacks, but it's probably going to be Josh Allen 35-point game that you need to win a tournament tomorrow.
Yep, you're just fading an Allen 40 ball if you don't play him. If he gets you 30 and you get 25 out of one of these cheaper guys, you're probably straight. But Allen does have a ceiling that's inaccessible for I would say just about every other quarterback on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's about it for quarterback. Moving on to the running back position. The talk of the town this week is the mid-range. Okay, yes. We have Travis Etienne, lock him in. Ramondre Stevenson, lock him in. I think both are locks in cash. I think if you're not playing either of them in cash, you should definitely fix your lineup to be playing both of these players. In a vacuum, which one do you prefer if you had to choose one? Ramondre with no Damian Harris or Travis Etienne at home in a cupcake matchup?
That's tough, man. That's really tough. I think I prefer Ramondre, just because, it's crazy to think about with Travis Etienne just because of the profile that we had him in, but I actually believe that like Ramondre's pass game role is a little bit safer. He's had, back-to-back 8 target, 7 target games here. He's gone for over 21 points in 4 straight weeks. And I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about Etienne because they're both phenomenal plays. Projections like Ramondre a little bit more. He's 200 cheaper, or I'm sorry, 100 cheaper for whatever that's worth. And I just see no resistance here coming from the Colts. With Ellinger there on the road in New England, Bill Belichick's going to absolutely shut that shit down and just feed Ramondre in this game. I don't know. Do you have a lean between these two? I think that you can play them both in tournaments, but I wouldn't play them together. I think I would max one of these guys just because if you play both of them, you're eating into like 80% cumulative ownership off rip. And at that point, you just have to play something absolutely insane in tournaments to be different enough. It's like, if you're going to play Stevenson and ETN together, you got to be on some like Heineke to McLaurin and J Jeff type of plays, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the commish said Harris is out. So Harris has not been officially ruled out, but it's expected that he's going to miss with an illness, and they signed JJ Taylor and Lynn Bowden Jr., 2 running backs off of the practice squad. So I think we can expect Damian Harris to miss this game, and projections across the industry also have Damian Harris out. So Ramondre Stevenson at 6,200, I think is a better play than Travis Etienne. I think his receiving upside is extremely higher.
Yeah.
And his floor, I think, is not a little bit higher. I think it's way higher than Travis Etienne's. And he's $100 cheaper, so a little bit of a discount, $100, who cares? But yeah, great spot for Ramondre, great spot for Travis Etienne. In cash, you are playing both. In tournaments, I think, like you said, you only play one just to keep your ownership in check. And there are some pivots in this range.
A ton of pivots this week.
Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Fournette, if you just want to project for volume. Raheem Mostert, although Jeff Wilson's there now. Donta Foreman, with Chuba Hubbard ruled out. Is DeAndre Swift going to play?
I believe he is. Yeah, he's going to play.
Okay, so that kind of takes Jamal out. So out of these other running backs besides Etienne and Ramondre, what's your lean? Are you paying up to Eckler and cash? Is he a priority, or are you comfortable playing another mid-range running back, like one of the ones I just mentioned?
See, the pool is so deep, and there's even a couple other guys that I think that you could consider. Like in most weeks, I would be like locking Deion Jackson into my cash lineup. I think that Antonio Gibson without JD McKissick is cash viable in almost any given week. But I don't think you go there this week. I do think that you play Eckler. Yes, he's absolutely a priority to me. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on the preview pod, if anybody listened, and we were a little bit off because, we were kind of thinking that paying up to Eckler would be really contrarian this week. That being said, we still thought Keenan would be in at that point. So, with Eckler in, and no Keenan Allen, I mean, he has 28 targets over the last 2 weeks. He's on pace to catch over 120 balls as a running back. Like, it's just absolutely absurd. Eckler here is a shoe in for 20 plus. Like, it's really just a question of does he get 30, because he's not burning you no matter what. I think he's probably the safest player on this slate to get you 20 plus, not named Josh Allen. As far as I'm concerned, Eckler is the play. And that's what's really got me thinking that Justin Fields is the quarterback play, because Eckler's such a high priority at 8,800. Matchup is right. Workload is right. Receiving role should be off the absolute charts here. I think you got to play him.
Yeah, I think that you probably are playing Eckler in cash, and I think you're playing these three running backs in cash, to be honest. Commissioner, really, do we know the Patriots? Would it shock you if Harris played? Illness, he's playing.
Well, can I'll take this first, and then I'll let you hammer it home as our Patriots insider. I think the speculation here is that across the NFL, we've seen this illness tag get thrown around. You know what we haven't seen get thrown around?
It's COVID.
Is COVID. Okay. The NFL just stopped calling it COVID, and they don't have to anymore because it's not as big of like a societal thing. But I mean, people are still getting COVID. Like my girlfriend had COVID 2 weeks ago. Like I know people all over the place are getting COVID. So yeah, I just think that the NFL has shifted like the COVID diagnoses to being labeled as illness. It's obviously hella suspicious that we haven't seen one single COVID diagnosis this entire season in the NFL. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Damian Harris has COVID. He's not playing. And as far as do we know the Patriots, Joey is like locked in on the Patriots. Sometimes I doubt his calls with the Patriots, but he's always got it right. Like he's got his fucking heart on the pulse of the Patriots. So, I mean, you said you think Harris is missing, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it makes a ton of sense, as we can see here. I mean, like I mentioned before, they signed JJ Taylor to the active roster. As you can see here, they elevated Lynn Bowden. So you're getting some depth at the running back position behind Ramondre. Damian Harris, he was actually kind of sick last week too, but ended up playing. But this week it seems a little bit more doubtful. Yeah, they brought up two running backs. Why would Harris play? Yeah, I mean, just from the corresponding moves, it definitely looks like that Damian Harris is going to be out, but you never know, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
this could be a situation where he ends up feeling better tomorrow at 11:30 and they rule him active.
The good thing about this is that it is a 1 p.m. game, so we'll know. But I mean,
every game's a fucking 1 p.m. game tomorrow.
Yeah, shout out to the NFL giving us a nice 8-2 split on the main slate. GGs. But yeah, I mean, we'll know before lock, so easy to make a maneuver if you have to, since there's so many strong running back plays. And not only that, but I mean, just really the corresponding running back plays just really put this over the top for me.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask you one question because you originally asked me about mid-range pivots. Do you think that with Jeff Wilson Jr., coming from the Mike McDaniel offense and being so familiar with the scheme, that he's maybe worked in more than your average player who gets traded midweek? Because I think on the surface, Raheem Mostert against this Bears defense with Chase Edmonds traded away and then the only real running back worth a damn coming in midweek, like that does in my head set up for Raheem Mostert to be like an absolute stone cold smash tournament play at like 5% elite pivot. But if Jeff Wilson comes in and like he's already super, super familiar with this scheme and they give him 10 to 12 touches, that completely changes how I would look at that play.
Yeah, I definitely think that Jeff Wilson comes in and has a role immediately.
Okay.
I obviously don't know what his projection would be in terms of touches. I think I would have him in that, 7 to 10 touch range. Just because I think that this offense wants to use 2 running backs. It's just Chase Edmonds was so fucking bad. He was, like, efficiency-wise, one of the worst, if not the worst running back in the league so far this season. Chase Edmonds, that is. So they were kind of forced to, just move to Raheem Mostert as being the guy. But I do think Jeff Wilson comes in and does have a little bit of a role, especially with the familiarity that he already has with the system. So I don't know. I think that still would make Mostert a little bit interesting in this spot against Chicago, one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, right behind Houston, giving up 156 rushing yards per game. We saw Tony Pollard break off multiple long runs last week against them, and Mostert does have top tier speed in the league. And, he hasn't really had a long touchdown this year. He hasn't had those long plays, as you can see on the screen, 13, 12, 16, 24. So maybe he's due for a nice breakaway long touchdown. But
and Tyreek will be really chalky. He's good leverage there too. Yeah. So he's double leverage off of the running backs in his range and off of one of the chalkiest receivers on the slate.
But there's just so many good running back plays in this range. I mean,
insane.
Somebody brought it up, but we talked about it on the pod.
We did.
Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the nut matchup of the slate.
Yeah, it's so good. And
the Chargers just I don't know, man. They can't stop a goddamn soul.
No, and I mean they're undermanned. Like honestly, I bet Falcons +3. I think Falcons might win outright in this game, low key. And I think CPAT's going to be a big factor. The problem is I think that they've seen enough now out of Algier and Huntley that I do think it's going to be a committee. I don't think that they're going to feed Cordero Patterson 15 plus attempts in his first game. Normally, I wouldn't be worried about a player coming back off of injury, but I think just because they've, seen something that they like out of these other backs, that coaching wise, I don't really anticipate them getting it, too crazy in terms of workload. But CPAT's just a big play waiting to happen, and he could easily get 2 touchdowns in this game, I think, in this matchup, just with the level of, explosiveness that he has as a player. So I like it. It would be like strictly large field tournament type of play there, but why not, right?
Yeah, like definitely a milli maker type play. And these Falcons running backs, I said on the pod, if he were to be out, I said one of them would be, a large field tournament winner. I didn't pick which one, but I said one of them would be. But 5,800 CPAT, nobody's gonna go there. The matchup is great. I think honestly, Algier, he sucks. To be honest,
you think so?
He's not good at football. Caleb Huntley has shown a little bit. And they've been really just splitting like 15 carries each. Not too efficient from either of them. So it's just going to be interesting to see how much of a workload they give CPAT. I think he should come in and probably get 10 to 15 touches in this game. And, you're competing against better plays with Cordero Patterson, so it's hard. But nonetheless, he's still very good. James Conner, GTD tomorrow. If he's out, I think that would put Eno Benjamin squarely in play as a nice tournament pivot. The Cardinals put Darrell Williams on IR this week. So if James Conner's out, Eno Benjamin, tournament pivot. So just some late news to look towards. But other than that, I think the range that's interesting is this Joe Mixon to Aaron Jones range.
Yeah. I can real quick before we get to that. I think that we should answer this question in the chat about Kenneth Walker. Is he in the same group as Etienne or Stevenson? Bob said that Walker's a fluke, and I don't want to say Walker's a fluke, but I do think that like contextually, if you compare him to Etienne and Stevenson, I don't really look at him in the same tier of a play, and it's really because there's no pass game role, right? He has 2 targets over the last 2 weeks. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is going to probably quadruple him in targets this week. Not only that, but he's on the road as an underdog, no pass game role in a second division matchup all of those factors lined up to me just take him out. And when you consider him in terms of ownership being right in the same tier as the rest of these guys, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He's definitely not in the same tier. And, if we're just looking at value, because they're all three of them are obviously listed back to back, right? So Travis Etienne is a 4.1 DraftKings value. Ramondre Stevenson is a 6.8 DraftKings value. And Kenneth Walker is a 1.3. So that tells you right there that you're not playing Kenneth Walker in cash. He's a tournament play only. He did obviously have a good game against Arizona last time. This is one of the best game environments, and I do want pieces. And personally, I do think that Kenneth Walker is a very talented player and a talented running back. And the touchdown upside, I think, is pretty good with Walker as well. 2 touchdowns, definitely in the range. Obviously, you're going to need 100 yards and 2 tutties, though, to win you a tournament. And then when you compare him to the other running backs that he's competing with in this range, he's definitely not a standout play by any stretch. So, it's just really the question of how much chalk are you willing to eat at the running back position. Winning tournaments in the 2022 NFL season, you have to eat chalk, and just get a little different. You don't go too crazy. So maybe we have to adjust and just be comfortable playing Ramondre, who's projecting as one of the best values of the entire year.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine playing these guys in tournaments as long as you're, getting off of the chalk in different ways, so
I'm trying to lower his price on DraftKings.
I mean, God, that would be nice. That would be nice.
What if $1 million idea right here? You could just have like a special game mode where you can like have fucking different positions and like different tokens that you can use to decrease a player's salary or some shit like that. Some arcade type shit. That'd probably be way too much.
No, that'd be lit, dude. Like you get like 3 tokens. One's like a 2K discount on a player. One's like a 1.5x on their points. Like, hey.
Yeah,
hey.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Okay. Hey, man, don't say that. Take this off stream. Take this off stream.
They could be doing so much more than just their standard, 9-player lineup every week.
Yeah.
Kind of like
why would they? It's like a print fest. This shit's been on autopilot for 3 years. I haven't seen like a new tournament on DraftKings since like 2020.
Bro, they say they 100% they set that shit on autopilot. Maybe they have somebody that goes in, adjusts the prices, but their focus is on sports betting.
Yep.
And their NFT bullshit.
Yeah, Pop in the chat said they're trying to do this Rainmaker shit, bro. That shit is chalked. Nobody wants to fucking play that shit.
Nobody wants to play Rainmakers, bro. Make new contests with different features that make it more fun and exciting.
Please
create more content than just sitting here talking about the same players every single week and the same strategy.
Yeah. No, honestly, they need a major shakeup. Honestly, they really do.
But it'll never happen. So.
No, it'll never happen. All right. Sorry, I totally derailed you there when you were trying to transition us to the higher price running backs. And yeah, I totally agree with you. The Joe Mixon to Aaron Jones tier is super interesting. Throw DeAndre Swift in there too. He's going to be low owned.
And they're all going to be chalky as fuck too.
Yeah.
They're secondary chalk.
Yeah, honestly, all of them will be. I mean, Fournette probably not so much, right? I mean, or does Fournette have a decent projection?
Fournette is the projected lowest owned out of these 3, but all 3 of Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and Joe Mixon are projecting for about 20+% or more. So
yeah. So I mean, the commish asks in the chat, he's a Pats fan as well. So you guys got some shared blood there. So ETN, Aaron Jones, or Eckler for cash. Aaron Jones is out, I think, for sure. That being said, in tournaments, Aaron Jones probably is my favorite play on the slate. I bet him earlier this week at plus 1,700 to lead this week in rushing yards. I think that's a phenomenal bet, to be honest. But yeah.
What are they doing over there, bro?
Yeah, bro. Did you see the video of Overzet opening his pack?
That shit was hilarious. And he got a Mitch Trubisky, like rare Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
What are they doing at DraftKings? But
I don't know.
All right. Never
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones is like the GOAT play. They're clearly transitioning into making him the centerpiece of this offense. Kind of what we talked about all best ball offseason was like Aaron Jones is going to be the guy here. And it took a little while for them to like realize it. I think they were still in denial. They're like, all right, we got Aaron Rodgers. He can make all these bums into something, but didn't end up being the case. The offense is broken. So they're going to the one player that can make huge plays, and it's Aaron Jones in a fucking lit matchup against Detroit. Love Aaron Jones this week. I'm going to absolutely have a ton of exposure to him in tournaments. I just don't think that he's really in the cash pool because of his price. If you're spending that much, you might as well just find the money to get up to Eckler, who's going to get like 10 to 12 targets.
Yeah, that'd be my only point that I would add is he is in cash game consideration. Like I think he's a good cash play just with his role and how the Packers want to play in the matchup and the potential game environment. I think he is in cash game consideration. It's just he doesn't fit the optimal build because of his salary and because of how well Austin Eckler is projecting. So, I mean, you could go there, but it gets you off of the construction that I personally believe is right for cash games in week 9.
Yeah.
But obviously that's just my opinion. That's all.
I share that opinion.
That's all we're giving is our opinions. Obviously you could do whatever you want. You can play Aaron Jones in cash. I just think that if you're playing as optimal as possible, which I think you should in cash, where you're shooting for a higher floor, I think playing the 3 running backs that I have locked in on the screen is optimal, and I think that's what everybody else is going to do. And in cash, you just don't have to get different. You don't have to worry about ownership. You play the best plays and you move on. And I think Etienne, Ramondre, and Austin Eckler are the 3 best plays at running back, price included. So that's my take on it.
Totally agree with you. So in terms of tournaments, love Aaron Jones. Are you big on any of these other guys in this range? Jacobs, Fournette, Mixon, Swift?
I mean, there's so many good running back plays this week. How are we going to play them all? Like Joe Mixon, I think is a phenomenal play at home against Carolina, as we could see on the screen. And his role last week in the passing game, especially with no Jamar Chase, I think he is one of the main beneficiaries of Jamar Chase being out. I think that Joe Mixon at 6,500 is going to project really, really well. Josh Jacobs, obviously coming off of a bust game finally after, torching the league for 3 straight weeks, in another great spot against Jacksonville. I mean, great play. Fournette, not too interested in Fournette, and I don't think the field will be either, but 6,600, I think he's going to project for a good amount of work, and he obviously plays well in the passing game. And I don't know. I think Fournette's definitely the worst play out of these 4, but God damn, there's so many good plays. And then the Detroit running backs are in a nut spot on the ground as well, going up against the Packers, who are the 4th worst run defense in the NFL so far this season, giving up 141 rushing yards per game. DeAndre Swift, 6,400. Jamal Williams, revenge game, 5,900.
I'm scared to play Swift, man. I mean, he came out this week.
You can't play Swift, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I forget if it was him or Dan Campbell who said it, but somebody said that like he might not be to 100% for the rest of the year. So when you take into consideration that his own team doesn't think that he's up to 100%, they've clearly shown that they're not going to give him a monster workload. And even if they are getting him up into that 15 to 20 touch range, he's still coming out at the goal line for Jamal Williams. So it's just tough with Swift, ultra talented player, but we need somebody who's going to be, in play for a bigger workload and in play for goal line touches. And that's just not him right now. So I think you got to, fade Swift, unfortunately, although the talent and matchup both align. Don't hate Jamal Williams. He could easily punch into revenge game, terrible defense. Like you said, I think that's super solid. I also think that like if you want to get different just from like a construction standpoint, paying down like under that 6K range, I really don't think too many people are going to look anywhere below like Deontay Foreman at 6K. Besides maybe Deion Jackson, who should definitely have some ownership this week. Really love Antonio Gibson, man. I think the matchup is good against Minnesota. They've been decent against the run, but that being said, like Gibson's role, 36% of snaps last week, and he still had 7 targets. That's crazy. And we're seeing a trend where he's going to be outplaying Brian Robinson. Great story, get shot, come back super quick. You know, shout out to him, prayers to him, all that good stuff. He's not good. Okay, I'm sorry. Brian Robinson is not good at football. He looks terrible out there. Antonio Gibson has juice. One thing we know Brian Robinson isn't doing is catching passes. Antonio Gibson is the guy there. I think he's phenomenal, man. At 5,500, if we didn't have this plethora of running backs, like I feel like all the attention would be on Gibson in this spot, and it's just not. So to me, I mean, this is just a phenomenal tournament play to make with AG here.
Yeah, I don't mind Antonio Gibson for sure. Definitely a tournament play. I think your call on just getting out of that 6K range and maybe paying down a little bit to somebody like Antonio Gibson or who else? Devin Singletary is kind of in that range. Benjamin, 5,900. Cordero Patterson, 5,800. You said Khalil Herbert before, 5,800. I think all of these guys are pretty good. Deion Jackson is 5,200, and I think that he's not that good of a play just because it is a very bad spot, in my opinion, for this Colts offense going on the road into New England with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. So I'm not in on Deion Jackson, but if he has the full role, which it looks like he will, he's definitely a salary saver at the running back position. But nonetheless, it seems like your tournament call of the week is Antonio Gibson, and mine is Cordero Patterson.
Yep. I mean, just think about how like different your lineup is if you run something like Aaron Jones and Antonio Gibson instead of like Eckler and ETN or something like that. Like, God, so much leverage this week. I'm excited to play tournaments for sure. And yeah, Bob said, in case anybody missed it, JD McKissick is out. So that's why we're talking about Gibson here. I mean, holy shit, dude. We just talked about running back for like longer than we've ever talked about. Is there anybody else that we need to shout out, or can we move on?
No, I think we can move on to wide receiver here. Wide receiver. I mean, the story of wide receivers also the 6K wide receivers.
Yeah.
In cash. I think the best play at the wide receiver position on the slate is your boy, ASB.
Oh, hell yeah.
The Sun God.
Oh, hang on. I think I got something here. I'm going to show to the people real quick. Is this it? Yeah, it is.
What you got over there?
Peep.
Sun God.
Sun God. Got that shit made custom. Let's go, bro. Come on. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6,600. No TJ Hawkinson. Has there ever been a bigger lock for 10 plus targets under 7K on DraftKings? Are you kidding me, dude? Oh my God. This dude, Amon-Ra St. Brown, is going to go nuke this week. I can't wait to play him. Come on.
But aren't you scared of Jair Alexander?
Who? He's going to get burnt up by the sun, my guy. He's about to be Jair Ashes. Come on.
Yeah, nah. ASB 6,600. I mean, you laid it out perfectly. No TJ Hawkinson. Lock for 10 plus targets as long as he stays healthy. 6,600. Just too cheap. Frankly, just way too cheap, in my opinion. And everybody's going to be on it. He is going to be the highest owned wide receiver on DK. I think he is a fine tournament fade for sure. Especially with some of these other wide receivers in this range, like DK Metcalf, Tyler Boyd. And then you could get up a little bit to this Gabe Davis, Mike Evans, T. Higgins tier is what I would do in tournaments. If we're looking at the top range, I mean, Tyreek Hill is projecting to be the best wide receiver value on the slate even at 8,500. I mean, this dude's role is just so good. Tua locks in on Tyreek Hill out there. The only concern, obviously, is that it is an odd week. That's next level analysis.
Yes.
Okay. Tyreek Hill, he hasn't really performed well on odd weeks. No 20-plus point game on an odd week yet. And what's week 9, Ben?
Hang on, let me do my math. So
this is the analysis everybody tunes in for.
6 is even, right? 7's odd. 8 is even. He went for 34.5 on that week, and then that would make 9 an odd week. So yeah. I guess we're probably looking at about 13, 14 points out of him this week.
Yeah, I mean, probably. But nonetheless,
Cash though. No, the real thing with him is that, like, I think he's the odd man out in cash. Like, he's a phenomenal play for all the reasons that you mentioned. But that being said, like, in cash games, you can't play Eckler and Tyreek together. I think Eckler's the priority, and you can't fit Tyreek into a Josh Allen lineup either. It doesn't make sense to me to play him in cash. Tournaments, though, you can go there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're not playing one of these high-priced wide receivers just because Eckler. That might be comment of the year so far on our streams.
Holy shit. I'm going to hell for laughing that hard at that. Oh my God.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Nah,
that's wild.
That. But yeah, so I don't think you're playing a high priced wide receiver just because Austin Eckler is such a good play, and I'd rather take the floor and ceiling that Eckler provides in this matchup without those wide receivers in a nut spot. And he's also projecting a little bit better. So I don't think you're playing Tyreek Hill or Diggs or Jefferson in cash. I do think Eckler is the play there in the flex spot. Other wide receivers that I think are going to be pretty popular this week, Chris Godwin, 6,200, is looking like he's going to be relatively owned once again. Then we have DJ Moore, your boy DJ Moore, 5,800. Mm-hmm. We also have Tyler Lockett at 6,100, and the best game environment on the slate. So you know, if you're ranking these cash wide receivers outside of ASB, I'll give you 3: Godwin, Lockett, DJ Moore. I asked you this question on Wednesday. I want to see if your opinion has changed. How would you rank it? Price included for this week.
My opinion has changed, actually. As of today, on November 5th, I would be going with Chris Godwin 1, DJ Moore 2, Tyler Lockett 3, price included. Okay. I mean, Godwin is just literally goated right now with his role. I mean, you can see it out of the past 5 weeks, double-digit targets in 4 of them. He hasn't had less than 11 targets since week 5. It's so good. I think they're going to lean on him here. It's going to be a big dose of like Ramsey and Mike Evans battling it out. And I just think that Chris Godwin is going to be open all over the middle of the field here in this spot. So I'm all over Chris Godwin. I think, and not only that, he just fits the build a little bit better. I feel like that's another reason why I feel like the opinion for me has shifted. Like, as I've built more and more lineups, I just find myself in that price range with 2 wide receivers in cash. And I don't feel like leaving, 400 on the board just to play DJ Moore. Like, I would rather just get some exposure to Godwin and pray that maybe we get a little dose of 2021 in this Brady Stafford matchup. Maybe these 2 offenses get back on track in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Target share, very good. I think he's due for some nice touchdown regression here coming up. I mean, 55 targets on the year, no touchdown catches. I think that's due to change. So at 6,200, he's definitely in play for cash, and he would be in my cash game lineup as it stands right now. I think Tyler Lockett is a very good play as well. I think DJ Moore is in play. I haven't really decided if I'm running either of those 2, because we do have a cheap wide receiver that I think is a cash play and makes the build fit perfectly, and that's Josh Palmer at 5,100. Yeah. I mean, as you can see here, 12 targets in his last game. No Keenan Allen. no Mike Williams. Outside of Austin Eckler, Josh Palmer is the option in the pass game, the top option, I should say. And at 5,100, I think he's the lowest you go in cash. I saw somebody in the chat put Khalif Raymond. I mean, Khalif Raymond is projecting well, and I've seen people have lineups with Khalif Raymond in, but personally, I'm not playing Khalif Raymond in cash. I just feel like you don't have to. It's not necessary.
It's not.
It's just a thin, risky play for no reason. Khalif Raymond, that is. Real life Khalif Raymond faders. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Both. Are you playing both Josh Palmer and Khalif Raymond in cash?
Yo, Kamish. I mean, you said you loved us earlier and love you too, man. I love anybody who watches this chat. Mad respect, honestly. But, bro, I mean, if your cash lineup has Rodgers, Palmer, and Khalif Raymond, I'm going to need you to go back to the drawing board, my boy. I just need you to. Okay? I want you to win. I want all the people viewing this live to win tomorrow. I hope we all bink and smash and we profit crazily. That shit ain't happening if your cash lineup has Rodgers, Palmer, and Khalif Raymond in it. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's tough love, though.
It is tough love.
I respect that personally. Because you need to be told if you fucking up. You can't just, like, obviously, love having you as a viewer, but, you know, you need to be told if you're making bad decisions and bad process decisions. That's how I win, lose money.
Yeah.
But I mean, you need to put yourself in a position to win more than you lose.
Indeed. Tyreek, Palmer, Khalif fit nicely.
Let's look at that.
Yeah. Build it out for me. Let me take a look.
Let's look. So you're probably not playing Eckler at that point, unless
I don't think so.
Well, let's see. Tight end. I mean, tight end. We'll talk about it, but it depends if Darren Waller's out. If Darren Waller's out, I mean, you're playing Foster, which I already built into my cash lineup.
Yeah. I mean, just throw Panthers in just for.
Yeah, Panthers. They're going to be the chalk. Quarterback. Oh, I mean. I guess this could be.
So this is an Allen build.
Something like that. Or you could do Josh Allen and a flex, 5,900.
DJ Moore or fucking I guess if Connor's out, something like that.
Yeah. Nah. My process is correct.
Hey, it might be, dude. Don't let me talk it off you. If you got conviction, roll with it, and then as you're rolling with it, send them right there. I need that head-to-head action.
All right. So wide receivers for cash, I think we pretty much covered it all.
No doubt.
Tyreek, ASB, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Josh Palmer. For us, I think that's the end of it. I'm not including Khalif Raymond. But I guess if he wants, it'll help you fit like Josh Allen and another high price player, if you want. But I think it's unnecessary.
Indeed it is. Not terrible by any stretch. And by the way, I will say if you ever, I mean, if you ever want to make like a contrarian cash play, I think the spot to do it is cheap receiver. Personally, I'm never getting off chalk running back. I don't think it's just not the way to play in cash, in my opinion. But sometimes the receivers, the range is a lot wider. So I've made some wild cash plays in my day at wide receiver, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. If you feel like incredibly convicted about it, why the hell not? But
I mean, yeah, you've played some horrible plays at wide receiver.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about Jeff Smith week the other day for some reason. I saw his name pop up, and I remember like jamming Jeff Smith like hardcore into cash one week, and you telling me how bad it was, and I think he got a donut, but crazy times.
Yeah, and Demir Bird and other scrubs.
Yep. But then again, every now and then you get like Matt Collins week when they're 3,300 and they drop 30 plus. Like I got that out of Gabe a couple of years ago.
Khalif is him. We found Khalif Raymond's burner account.
Hey, I'm starting Khalif in season long tomorrow, so I'm not totally off it.
Yeah,
I see the merit.
I'm starting fucking DeAndre Carter and Tyquan Thornton and Tyler Algier in a lineup.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Wow.
That shit is chalked.
Damn, man. Redraft is hard this year.
Bro, there's
It's
nobody on
brutal.
the waiver, and you have 4-5 players on a bye one week. Just take the L. I'm taking the L.
Yeah. My one team where I lost Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, and Mark Andrews. My first 3 picks all gone. GG is fucking. I can't even. But
should have picked up Isaiah Likely, my guy.
Yeah, should have. All right. So tournament wide receivers, what are your most favorites? I talked about on the podcast. For me, I think like just from a contextual slate, when you look at everything on this slate, I think that you can get really contrarian by playing like the upper tier of wide receivers, guys like Gabe Davis, Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins. Like that pricing tier to me is like the stone nuts for tournaments because nobody's going to play it. Everyone's just going to be, Amon-Ra St. Brown or lower, or, trying to get up to like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Steph Diggs. I think that, all these guys have 30 plus in their range and it's like nobody's going to play them. They're all in relatively good spots. Why not? Right. Like I feel like one of those guys is going to be in the Millie Maker. I don't know which, but one of them will be.
Opportunity outweighs skill in many situations, which is why cheap wide receiver over running back is correct.
Well said.
I mean, that's why chalk running backs are better plays than chalk wide receivers, at the mid-range. Because running back is a largely opportunity-based position, whereas wide receiver is more talent-based and target earning-based. So you want to get different at the cheap wide receiver position. So if we're talking cheaper tournament pivots at wide receiver, I think Dobbs is an excellent pivot.
Absolutely.
Off of Josh Palmer chalk for 200 more. Obviously, great matchup for Dobbs as, the number 1 or number 2 option in that offense. The Bears wide receivers, I think, are interesting if Justin Fields is going to be a little bit chalky, but none of his wide receivers are. We have Claypool and Darnell Mooney. Shout out Bob. Darnell Mooney's burner account, 4,700. Definitely don't mind that. And then DeAndre Carter as a pivot off of Khalif Raymond, potential chalk. By the way, the chat is hyping it up. DeAndre Carter, 4,300. Questionable. I would expect him to play, though.
Yeah, I like Carter this week.
Yeah, so those are my favorite pivots.
Can I throw one more out in that range? Garrett Wilson at 4,800, I think is pretty interesting. Corey Davis is out and he's really he is the best option on this team with no Breece Hall. He had another 100-yard game for the second time this season last week. And obviously, game script wise, they're going to be chasing the Bills in this spot. I don't think Garrett's going to have too much ownership. So if you're playing Josh Allen stuff, like neither like Diggs will be like secondary chalk, like even on the low end. I think he's like right in that 10 to 15% range. So, you can play Allen Diggs with Garrett on the bring back or, Allen, Gabe, Knox, Garrett on the bring back. I think that those are super contrarian ways that you can play Josh Allen stacks this week.
Absolutely. But aren't you scared of Tre'Davious White?
In his first game back, he might get sauced up by the kid. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know.
You're saying Garrett Wilson comes in and fucking sauces Trey White and all-pro cornerback up?
I don't know. Am I saying it happens? Not necessarily. Could it happen? Absolutely.
How do you feel about Terry McLaurin?
Chat loves Terry. Man, chat loves Terry. I like Terry McLaurin. I have a complicated relationship with Terry McLaurin. I mean, every time I fucking play this dude, he completely burns me. And I'm just hurt.
Every time, dude. Every fucking time, dog.
I want to play him in this game. I really, really do. I think that he's a phenomenal tournament play. I think that Justin Jefferson is a phenomenal tournament play. You could play them together as a little 2-piece correlation. I think that makes sense. I just don't know, man. It's like if I play Terry, he's going to go for 15. If I fade him, he's going to have his best game in the last 2 years, probably drop 35 plus. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, Terry McLaurin is definitely one of those players that you can never get right, especially me. I said on a pod or a stream a few weeks ago that, like, in the 3 years that we've been doing this shit, in the year or 2 that we've been on YouTube, I don't think I've played Terry McLaurin one time in a tournament in cash, and it's worked out. He's literally a player that will get 15 to 20 points, but he's never given you a 30 ball.
Can we also say, I mean, that this is also year 5, not year 3, but we started this shit in 2018, bro.
Yeah. Nah, but like playing serious, like couple years.
Fair enough.
I've never played Terry McLaurin.
Fair enough. I totally agree. Shout out WW Fresh in the chat, one of our biggest fans, long time viewer.
see, we're at the 10 o'clock slot now, which is optimal for us.
Yeah.
But last week we did a 12 p.m. stream just because it was Halloween and whatnot, and we were going out. And the 12 o'clock slot is when all the children are on YouTube.
Yes. Very different experience.
If anybody wants to have a good laugh, you go back and you watch the stream and watch us pull up the comments from the 15-year-olds trolling us.
Yeah.
That was comedy. But the 10 o'clock is so much better. So much better. Because we actually get people who are not 14 years old.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this comment from Al a couple minutes ago is like incredibly sharp. This shit ain't coming on a noon stream. But anyways, Mr. Torian in the chat says, can we get a Minnesota Washington stat game? I'm thinking of getting different and running it. Yeah, I mean, I think that like naturally it's going to be super contrarian. In fact, I think that that's like the type of build where you could really talk yourself onto playing, some of the running back chalk, maybe even 2 of those guys. If you're stacking up like Heineke, McLaurin, Jefferson, like that's super
you go crazy on the chalk.
Yeah, no, I actually think that's super strong.
Yeah, so if you do some like Heineke or Kirk Cousins, I don't know which one you would prefer for a tournament.
I think Heineke,
5,400. Pair him with Terry McLaurin. So you get a relatively cheap stack there, and you get a nice bring back with. Do you want to bring it back with JJ or Cook?
JJ,
and then the thing is, I think that you don't have to double stack Taylor Heineke because like his ceiling is probably like 25. And if he's hitting his ceiling, there's probably a good chance that, if he's scoring 20, 25 points, he's not bringing multiple players along with him. So I'd be comfortable just leaving it like this. Taylor Heineke to Terry McLaurin with the Justin Jefferson bring back. And then you could eat the chalk with, Ramondre or Travis Etienne or something like that. Just because you do have a naturally contrarian game stack here.
Yep.
That's how I would play this game.
But totally agree with you. You don't need a double stack. I also don't hate throwing Logan Thomas in just because he's 2,900. He's so cheap that like you can.
Logan, totally 2,900. Yeah, I mean, fuck it, throw him in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, yeah, I totally agree with you. You don't have to do that by any means whatsoever. But he's so cheap that you can.
But yeah, this is how I would build a contrarian game stack: is playing a single or a double stack with a bring back, then play the chalk around it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%.
What's Aaron Rodgers' ceiling, do you think, in this spot? I could tell you, if you want to know his projected ceiling is 27.5.
27. Yeah, I would have said that his ceiling is probably about like 25, maybe a little bit above. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And then they have Taylor Heineke ceiling at 21.5. 45.
I think it's higher than that. Commissioner, are you a Packers fan by chance? Just curious.
Jared's burner account.
100p. Let's see. Other wide receivers. I don't know if I have anything else that I really care to highlight other than that last night I woke up in a fevered sweat because I had a dream that Gabe Davis ripped off another 70+ yard touchdown. And I just think that something might happen early in this game tomorrow.
Okay. Are you a fucking are you a fortune teller?
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll have to see.
Are we up or down this year?
Like,
I'm slightly down. On
DraftKings?
I'm slightly down because of tournaments. In cash, we're both winning players.
Yeah, I'm I'm up on DraftKings. I'm down on the year. Shout out to sports betting legalization in New York. Gotta tighten down the fucking parlays.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
firing off every week.
For DraftKings specifically, we're up in cash. I'm down a little bit because of tournaments.
Yeah.
On Prize Picks, that's a fucking different story. On Prize Picks, I'm down like I would say I think it's like 350.
Yeah.
380, somewhere around there on Prize Picks.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like low key though, like cash game wise, this is like going to be our best year, I think. At least unless we have a wild downturn for the second half. I mean, I've only lost 1 week in cash this year, which I mean is, great for my standards.
Yeah. We also recap every week.
Yeah.
In our lineups and say what we scored and all of that good stuff, which comes out Monday. If you avoid the chalk and GPP, you're way down this year, unfortunately. Yup. And that's kind of why I haven't been doing well, is because I kind of wanted to come into the year playing a little bit more contrarian than I have prior. And what do you know? This is the worst year to do that.
Yeah. So it's funny. You were talking about that all off season about, this is the year I'm really going to embrace the contrarian aspect of tournaments. And then we have an all-time historic chalk year, like GG's. Yeah. Nothing you can do. But I mean, I think that, you keep playing it, eventually it's going to hit. Like I'm not wavered.
You're actually not good.
Yo, actually, I want to bring this up, W, because I thought you were going to send me that $500 head-to-head last week. I never got that. I'm pretty confused.
I'm surprised he's still up. It's past his bedtime.
It is, man. I mean, just in case you're interested there, WW, there you go. Still up, still available, anytime, any week. Tight end. Joey, what are we thinking?
Well, first, who's your tournament winner at wide receiver? One call, tournament winner. Is it Gabe Davis?
Nah.
Yep. All it takes is 1 week.
It's Waddle.
Jalen Waddle, 7,400.
Yeah, I think that I do love Gabe, and I will be playing Gabe. But for me, I love Waddle this week, especially just because of the price range leverage and the direct leverage off of Tyreek Hill.
Okay. I like that call. Mine, let me look. I think mine, God, I have a few. I like the Romeo Doubs play a ton.
Yeah, it's fire.
As leverage off of Aaron Jones and leverage off of Josh Palmer in that range. I think DK Metcalf is a phenomenal tournament play this week, in that range of Godwin, Lockett, DJ Moore. And then at the top, I think Mike Evans. I'm not scared of Jalen Ramsey. Okay, I don't care. Mike Evans, 7,200. Nobody's going to play him. Gets targeted just as much as Chris Godwin. Touchdown upside is still extremely high. And, if we're buying into this Bucs offense a little bit, Mike Evans would be my call. Sorry, boys. In late thoughts, DK Cash, Fields, Ramondre, Etienne, Eckler, Hopkins, Moore, Raymond, Evan Ingram, Panthers.
I think you're on the right path. I mean, I like, that's probably a 3v3 off of the lineup that I will most likely be running. I don't necessarily see the appeal of paying up for Hopkins when Amon-Ra St. Brown is right there. I think he's a better play.
Yep. Projections agree with that statement. And then I think with tight end, which we can move on to now, it all depends if Darren Waller's out. Because I think if Darren Waller's out, Foster Moreau is a better play than Evan Ingram. But then again, in that lineup, you could just swap down to Foster Moreau and just have a 2v2. What about Austin Eckler, Eric S? Was Eckler dinged up, though? Eckler was on the injury report this week with an abdominal injury, but he's going to play. I'm pretty sure he's off the injury report now. Yep. He doesn't carry an injury designation, and I mean, like, I can't highlight just targets, but no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. It's Austin Eckler time, go time, in a nut matchup.
Yeah, he's gonna smash for real.
Tanyan will score. I mean, Tanyan's a great play.
Love Tanyan this week. He is a strong play. I think that for cash, it's pretty simple. I think you're either going to play Foster Moreau or Brock Wright. That being said, we do need confirmation on both of those players. Brock Wright has not officially been cleared from the concussion protocol, although he's practiced all week. So, I mean, looks good. Looks like it's solid. 2,500. He's really the premier pass catcher there with no TJ Hawkinson as far as tight end goes. I think, as far as the $2,500 punt tight end goes, Brock Wright is absolutely fine. If Waller's out, probably prefer Moreau there.
I think Waller. If I had to guess, I think Waller's out.
Yeah, that seems to be the direction it's trending. So we will await confirmation on that. Luckily, both are 1 p.m. games, so we will know early.
I like Brock Holt. I like Brock Holt as well.
The 2v2 is pretty easy. Like, no matter what, if we don't get Brock, and you want to play Foster, or if you just want to play Foster, you're fine. You can make a simple 2v2, with your defense. So, you don't have to change anything in terms of your main pieces in your lineup there.
Yep, totally agree. So the lineup, I mean, is looking something like this. If Foster's in, this is the direction where I'd have with my lineup. And then you could make a couple 2v2 plays, but I think in terms of cash, this is the core right here.
Yeah.
And then maybe, I mean, if you want, you can get rid of Godwin and, you have a 2v2 at wide receiver or quarterback if you want to go up to Josh Allen and play a different wide receiver. There's some built-in 2v2s here. But in terms of cash, if Darren Waller's out, these are the locks. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. Eckler, Etienne. Yeah, no, agreed. That's really the direction that I think that we go in, and we don't get too crazy. I mean, I think that Evan Ingram, somebody in the chat brought up Evan Ingram. I think Ingram is a really strong play this week. He's had a super solid role, 6+ targets in 4 straight weeks, 9 or more DraftKings points. He's a good floor play. But
bro, this ain't him, is it?
Yeah, it's him.
No shot.
You never seen him before?
Bro, didn't he have long hair?
I don't think so.
No, he's chopped. Bro. No, he did have longer hair, but he must have got a buzz cut or something. That's the Evan Ingram that I think of.
Oh yeah.
When I see Evan Ingram, I think of him.
Oh yeah, that picture. Yeah.
Bro, this man is chopped. It looks like fucking life just hit him. Being on Jacksonville just fucking aged this man to dirt.
Hell yeah, dude. He looks like a high school gym teacher now.
Bring back the curly hair, dude.
Yeah, nah.
Ricky is on this Khalif over Amon-Ra train. He's on Khalif heavy.
Yeah.
Honestly, shout out Ricky.
I love the conviction. Can you get Khalif Raymond on Prize Picks? Doesn't look like it. I would have bet it just now just to, ride with Ricky here. But
there's no Khalif Raymond prop?
Unfortunately not, man. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, shout out to Benny for the prop videos on the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way.
Yeah,
we're almost at 500. But your props, I mean, you got the early lines in. Couple smacked already.
Yep, 2-1 so far with a couple bangers left for tomorrow.
And then we'll have some Prize Pick videos up for next week as well. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday. So make sure you subscribe if you're on Prize Picks and you want to see that, because I know a ton of people are on Prize Picks and want props and shit.
Oh yeah, it's fun, man. I really have come around to Prize Picks. Kamish says when you think of Evan Ingram, you think of dropping passes. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right, so tight end. I mean, yeah, in cash, I think you're probably either playing Evan Ingram, Foster Moreau, or Brock Wright. Obviously, you just had to be tuned in to injuries. That's on you guys. Pay attention tomorrow. Be at your computer, ready to go. If you're playing DFS serious, Tournament pivots. Who's your favorite tournament tight end this week? I know we already talked about some guys like Robert Tonyan, Gerald Everett, etc. So who's your favorite?
I mean, my favorite is Dawson Knox at 3,500. I mean,
we love Dawson Knox.
I mean, we haven't seen it really this year. I mean, I know he had the touchdown last week, but he only had 2 catches for 10 yards with it. But like, we saw multiple times last year. Dawson Knox has 20 in his range. He can get 2 touchdowns. Any literal player taking snaps and catching passes from Josh Allen has 2 touchdowns in their range. Dawson Knox absolutely does. The Bills have the highest total on the slate by over 2 points. Like it's clear as day. Like everyone's going to play Evan Ingram or Foster Moreau or Robert Tonyan, whatever. Like we can get the starting tight end who is a touchdown scorer on the best offense in the NFL at under 5% owned. It's come on. I mean, simple. But yeah, other than that, Tonyan and Everett are the others I'll play.
Yeah, I definitely love Gerald Everett, especially if you include him in your Justin Herbert stacks. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Tight end is just a corollary position for me. I'm using it to correlate lineups either as a bring back or part of my stack. So a lot of who I play at tight end is really just dictated by that. And by what quarterback I play. Shout out Jeff. You got a lineup. I mean, if you want a cash game lineup, you lock these 5 guys in. Then you play DJ Moore or you play Chris Godwin and Josh Palmer, and boom, you can make the rest. You just fit in the rest.
Yeah. I mean, it really just depends if you want to play Justin Fields or Josh Allen. You plug one of those guys into this build, and then you figure out the rest from there.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Geno Smith, play one of them, figure out the rest. But these 5 players, in my opinion, are locks. Yep. If Darren Waller is out, asterisk on Foster Moreau.
Yes.
But yeah, tight end, ugly position. I mean, Gerald Everett's definitely my favorite. In tournaments, 6% projected ownership right now. And I guess we can make a tournament lineup here. We have a lot of directions we can go.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, I mean, in cash, you're playing the Panthers, D. All right, we can move on.
Hey, interesting note that the Lions elevated Brandon Zylstra from IR. That might mean that we get no Brock right here.
All right. I mean, I think we're all kind of hoping for Foster either way.
Yep. All right.
With Darren Waller out. But tournaments, we have to keep in mind that chalk doesn't fail anymore.
Yeah.
So I will let you start it off with whoever you want.
All right. I mean, can we get for the one times here, Ramondre Stevenson? I'm eating the running back chalk. I think that he's as close to like a stone cold lock. If you're playing 150, you play him and 100 plus. Like you got to have Ramondre everywhere.
All right. I think that is a very good play. I think defense, we could just decide on a defense to play that's contrarian, that is a little cheap, and that's in a good spot.
Dolphins. Oh no, they're not cheap. Sorry, 3,800. I'm chopped.
Paying up to D is a little bit contrarian though.
Yeah. What about
I don't love it.
What about? Hear me out here. What about Falcons at 2,800 under 2% as leverage off of like Eckler Palmer stuff? And I mean, I think the Falcons are totally live to win this game. I mean, they're terrible, but they're totally live to win this game. Nah.
I mean,
that's a Seattle.
That's a big fucking brain. That's a big brain defensive play.
I mean, I was just thinking max leverage, low ownership, play into the randomness, but like, yeah, they're god awful. No qualms with that take.
I mean, defense, it doesn't really matter. We could just lock one of them in. I mean, we could do Seattle if you want. We could do Atlanta.
I mean, Seattle's actually probably the play. We didn't even touch on how distracted Kyler Murray is this week. I mean, this dude's been playing COD since fucking they landed Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely. We're locking Seattle in.
Yeah. So we got
MW2.
Seattle. Yep. Dude
Anybody
hasn't
wants to
looked at
run
the
it, you can
playbook in
add
a
me.
week.
He hasn't looked at the playbook since October 28th.
Yep. Classic.
All right. Seahawks D, fade Kyler narrative now that COD is out. MW2, you know he's definitely grinding. He's in phase. If anybody knows what phase is in the chat. All right. So my pick, wide receiver. I think that at wide receiver, it really depends on what game we want to stack. What game do you think?
Are you feeling the contrarian Buffalo stack here? Or you want to get more different than that? Like I'm thinking like Allen, Gabe, Garrett Wilson bring back type vibes. But if you want to go somewhere else, like you want to do like Rodgers Dubs. Phase with the F, my boy.
Yeah, it's that's phase.
Yeah.
Phase.
Like swag. Yeah.
Yeah, nah. I think Buffalo in terms of tournaments, I think it's just too expensive. Because obviously I'd want Diggs in there. And then you could go Dawson Knox as like the cheap corollary piece because Diggs isn't going to be chalky. Neither is Gabe Davis. But I think just salary-wise, it's too expensive. And I think there are some better spots to attack. I do kind of like that Seattle-Arizona game, but we're obviously playing the Seahawks defense, which we could correlate with Kenneth Walker if you want.
We could.
6,200. All right. I think we go Kenneth Walker in this lineup. Just hope that the Seahawks control the ball. Multiple rushing touchdowns out of Kenneth Walker. Kyler Murray, fade Kyler. Post COD release.
Yep.
Obviously, he's going to be a little bit chalky, but he's kind of secondary chalk, so I think it's fine.
Yep.
And it's running back either way. So my pick would be Kenneth Walker there. So I'll let you run the table here.
It's tough, man. All the good stacks are pricey. I mean,
we could go an Arizona player too. I think that's fine.
But who though? It would have to be Hop, right?
Hop at chalk, or do we go like Rondale Moore or Zach Ertz or somebody like that? Robbie.
I mean, we're never playing Rondale Moore, dude. We're never playing somebody who's like 7 inches shorter than us in a fucking DraftKings lineup. It's not happening.
I mean, we could go D-Hop. I don't know. I think we just had to figure out what stack we want to play. So what stacks?
I mean, my stacks this week are going to be Bills, Dolphins, Packers. And I mean, if we could do a crowd pleaser here, we could go like the Minnesota stack.
Is Minnesota stack winning you a tournament though?
It could. We got Kirk revenge game. We got Heineke on a hot run. I don't know.
Do you know anything?
No. You pick a stack. How about you pick a stack?
How about the ultimate crowd pleaser would be Rodgers.
All right. So I mean, we're plugging in dubs there then. I mean, hang on. Let's go full crowd pleaser. Khalif. We're for the people. Love it. Absolutely love it. And now, I mean, now we're hella contrarian. So
Leave.
That's for you, Ricky. That's for you.
We could go Rodgers double.
Yeah. Yep.
Tunyon.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now we could do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so we could play like I mean, I said Waddle was one of my favorites. Like we could probably fit. Could we fit Waddle Eckler here?
Let's see. Waddle. No.
100 off. GG's. I mean Higgins, Eckler, or like J Jeff and somebody.
I think we should just try and have like a little mini stack correlated right here. So I'm just seeing what work. Any suggestions in the chat? We got pretty much anything here. We could do something like this. Cup and Mike Evans. Something like that. A correlated, low-owned mini stack.
I don't hate that. Plus, you with the specific lineup, right? Like you've got Ramondre as chalk. You'll know how you're doing early. You'll have Khalif Raymond as secondary chalk. You'll know how you're doing there. You'll have some contrarian pieces with like Dubs, and I guess that's it, contrarian. But you'll know where you're at essentially going into the late games with Evans, Cup, Walker, Seahawks, D.
Yeah. So I mean, projection wise, this isn't gonna. Be great, but this is how I would build, a contrarian team. Or you could just go full blown chalk and make a pivot or two and do that.
That could work too.
That's probably gonna hit. So the winning tournament lineup, I'll build it right now for you. So it's gonna be ETN, Ramondre, and then it's gonna have like one of these wide receivers in it, Chris Godwin or ASB or something like that, right? Then it's going to have a pivot, just one simple pivot off the chalk, like a Tyler Boyd or something like that.
Terry McLaurin
or T Higgins if we're getting off Hop. Hop is chalk.
Oh yeah.
T Higgins, a little bit lower. Then you pivot to I don't fucking know, Joe Burrow or something like that. I wouldn't trust A-Rod this week. He's mad chalk. Yeah, Rodgers is a little bit chalky.
No Khalif, no cash.
No Cup, no cash. Thoughts on Cordero Patterson week 9? He's one of my favorite tournament plays for sure.
Yeah.
I love CPAT this week because he's just going to be low owned. He's in a range where he's surrounded by a ton of good plays, and he's coming off injury, and those players always go under owned, but we're Prince Lightskin, aka Swag. But we're always on the side of, if these players are ready to go and he practiced all week, I don't see a reason why he's going to be limited, but that's always the risk. But that's why he's only a large field tournament play, in my opinion. But if you're still watching, I mean, tournaments have been this. Play the best plays, make a pivot or two, stack up a game, play a Jared Goff and Khalif Raymond and a Monroe St. Brown stack.
Like you could have the chalkiest lineup. Yeah, you go like Goff, ASB, Aaron Jones. You
go something like that, like Khalif Raymond, Robert Tonyan on the bring back, and a defense. Obviously, you could upgrade T Higgins to like Diggs or something, and play a defense.
Vape Nation, yeah. God, not really. Got to quit this shit. Nobody taking Brady. I mean, Brady's fucking washed.
Actually, for some reason, that's funny that you say that. I was looking up the side effects of vaping this morning. Nobody should be vaping, bro.
I'm not even gonna talk about it on stream, but I was like dying this week. We talk about it all the time.
All right, so yeah, get your questions in, everybody. Redraft, DFS, prize picks, whatever. Cordero or Herbert, Khalil Herbert or CPAT for your flex redraft. I'm assuming full PPR. Doesn't matter how mad they are.
Yeah. At this point, they used to be like mad and motivated. Now they're just old man screaming at a cloud mad.
Oh shit. What the fuck? PPR.
PPR. I'm probably
That's tough.
That is tough. I think I would probably lean Khalil.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tough to trust CPAT. I think it would also depend on like your record. You know, are you projected to lose or win? You know, what does your opponent have? There's just a lot of context.
For sure. Herbert, I think, is safer, which is why I said that, because I kind of look at like head-to-heads and redraft like cash games where I'm like prioritizing floor. But if I look like if I'm like in a matchup where it looks like I'm going to be behind or I am behind following Thursday night football, I'm probably rocking CPAT there because he has a higher ceiling.
Like you could like, especially now in the season with the matchups and buys and shit, like you could tell whether or not like you're a favorite or an underdog just by looking at the teams. And, you know, if I'm an underdog, I'm playing CPAT. If I'm a favorite, I'm probably playing Khalil Herbert. Yep. But even then, like, I just don't give a fuck about redraft, so I'd probably still play Khalil or CPAT.
True.
Even though, you know, I should say I do care. I have 3 leagues, $250 total invested into redraft. I'm in first in 2 leagues and then like 6 in the other one.
Yeah, I mean, every morning I wake up to, you know, Big Joe in the redraft, picking some random dude up at 4 a.m. talking about he doesn't care at redraft. This dude grinds waivers like it's his fucking occupation.
Bro, this week was rough. I got CeeDee Lamb, fucking Saquon, Dulcich, everybody on a bye.
It's tough.
And then
absolutely tough.
Yeah. If everyone said you suck, are you doing better next week? I mean,
what?
I would try.
Yeah.
It's talking about Brady and Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
I would try to do better for sure. Would you double stack the Vikings? I think that's fine.
I think it's fine too, especially with Irv gone and TJ probably on a snap count. Like, maybe. Why not, right? It should be hella consolidated between J. Jeff and Thielen. You have your obvious bring back in McLaurin there. It's just like at that point, you're obviously not playing a tight end there because you can't trust Hawkinson on a short week. And at that price tag, it's like, are you really going to play 3 receivers from the Washington Minnesota game? Like 3 of your 4 potential wide receivers? It's probably chalked.
Bob says, so what about Trevor Lawrence? He's cheaper than Fields. Yeah, on our Wednesday pod, which everybody should be listening to, it's linked down below in the description. Trevor Lawrence was my call for tournament quarterbacks at 5,200. Las Vegas has the second worst passing defense according to DVOA in the NFL. We haven't really seen a Trevor Lawrence ceiling game, you know, like a 30-plus point game. I think this is as good of a spot as any. Weapons, you know, totally healthy. And Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Evan Ingram, Marvin Jones, I think is healthy. I think he played last week. I know he's been injured a little bit, but I mean, this is the spot. And I think it's a game environment that could be back and forth.
Definitely could be. Marvin Jones will be back in this game.
And I think he's cheap enough to where, you know, you could play him and Etienne together.
Oh yeah, totally agree with that.
So I do like Trevor personally. Brady and Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers is obviously in a very good spot, but it's not sneaky. He's projecting to be the 3rd highest owned quarterback on the slate. So it's not like you're getting no leverage there. Like people are on it.
Yeah, you like need him to have his best game of the season, and then even then you're not really separating because he's going to be like the 2nd highest owned quarterback on the slate.
Yeah, I mean he's going to have a good game. Like it's impossible not to against the Lions.
Yeah, only way he fails, right, is if Aaron Jones has one of his patent 300 or not 300, 3 touchdown games, and Rodgers gets nothing.
For the same reason I'm getting TJ Hawkinson touchdown vibes. I don't mind Hawk, honestly. If people think he's going to be on a limited snap count or role in a new offense, but right here says he's going to be a key part of the offense.
Yeah, but I mean, if you read that quote a little bit further, he's like, we're going to try and get him involved in as much as possible given the short week. It's like, yeah, he's not going to be like an 80% snap player. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Rondale Moore or Curtis Samuel, full PPR. I'd go Rondale Moore.
I would say projections like Curtis, game environment favors Rondale. So kind of a gut call there. I think I'd probably lean Curtis.
Yeah, I just think Rondale's a lock for those fucking easy layup targets and catches that they like to give him, which, I bet his under on catches like a fucking donkey last Sunday and got absolutely annihilated. But yeah, game environment, second option in the passing game, in my opinion. I guess maybe third if you're counting Zach Ertz, but I mean, that's definitely close for sure.
Yeah, it's close. It's definitely close. Let's see. Is there anything else that we need to touch on here, or are we good?
I mean, I think we're good. I mean, all you have to do to win money is play Travis Etienne, play Ramondre Stevenson, play Austin Eckler, play fucking Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Palmer in cash, Josh Allen, figure out the rest.
Easy game.
I was answering my own question. Brady, Rodgers, 6 touchdown passes.
Could be. I
mean, if Brady has a 6 touchdown game, like, I don't know.
I think he meant combined.
No, yeah, easily. They could.
And I would still say under.
All right, I think that's it. I think we got to get out of here.
For sure, man. Appreciate everybody watching. If you are watching on replay still, shout out to you. You are goated. Subscribe to the channel. Everybody else, we
almost
will be
at
back.
500. Oh shit.
Oh yeah. Let's get it. Almost
at 500. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Go on your kid's phone on YouTube.
Yep.
Hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 500. Yo, what up?
Yo, and honestly, like, go through your girl's phone too. And then while you're on it, subscribe on YouTube. If she catches you, you got an easy out. Sorry, babe. I was just subscribing to the boys on YouTube.
Pitt week at tight end. I don't know what that
could
means.
be. Could be.
Pitts.
Could be.
Why you a bitch?
Why you 2 weak sauce? Weren't you just asking us for a lineup like 5 minutes ago?
All right. Nah, we gotta.
All right. Deuces. Yo, everybody have a great rest of your week. Hope everybody profits. Catch you on the next one.